and gentlemen, what's up? Coach Zach here. Day number 2, Quarantine Fit Challenge. So this again was designed with the intent of having little to no equipment at your disposal. This is a program you can do anytime, anywhere at home, or wherever you may be right now due to all the problems that we're facing together. Awesome way to just keep moving. We're going to be building strength, but what I call integrated strength, which means strength and flexibility at the same time to increase our range of motion, get our body in healthier positions. This is a really great opportunity for all of us to really kickstart just the future and just really think about the habits that we've had in place that have been holding us back. And we're just going to work through those one at a time through some nutrition, through some proper training. Again, this is a progressive program, so if you didn't do day number 1 yesterday, I encourage you to go back and do that first. It's all layered. I don't believe in random workouts. In fact, they really piss me off because if you do random workouts, you're going to get random results. And generally, whenever I do a consult with somebody and they're telling me about their frustrations and I talk to them about what they've been doing, it's all random. The nutrition efforts, the recovery efforts, the lifestyle, the workouts. Let's have a structure in place. Let's actually make our body not only stronger, not only healthier, especially right now, we really got to keep our immune system high, give ourselves the right amount of stimulus. We don't want to be overtraining, we don't want to be undertraining, but we need to start moving more, we need to regain our range of motion, and we're going to be issuing all those challenges through this series, through my private group and here on my Facebook. It's all 100% free. Please join in, get moving, get your body healthy and stronger, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so yesterday we did a lot of chest work and squats. Today we're going to recover from that. The first position I'm going to use is one of my favorite ways to stretch out, which is just finding a bench. If you don't have a bench like this that you can't lay down with both arms out, then I would just suggest you go to like the corner of a bed and just do one arm at a time like this, okay? So I'm gonna just hold on to very light weights. You may not even need weight in the first place if your chest is super locked up. Chronic sitting, sedentary life, we're gonna get those shoulders to roll forward and these chest muscles start to shorten. So now we're gonna start to address that and open this back up. So I'm just reaching out to the side, I'm letting the weight do all the work. I'm going to change my hand position until I feel the best stretch possible across my chest. I can even play around with rotating my hands a little bit once I find that. If you're at home, I'd suggest starting this with like a can of soup in each hand, which is about a pound, more than enough. So I'm just going to hang out here for a couple of minutes. As I'm doing this, I'm really focused on my diaphragmatic breathing. To illustrate that, get a young block. I'm really focused on breathing down into my hips with my chest not moving. So I'm here and I'm also thinking about breathing into my lower back. So I'm trying to expand my diaphragm fully. Feel that pressure increasing against the block and the bench simultaneously. As you get really good at this, you can lower your breath to a couple breaths a minute. Amazing way to recenter and focus. Obviously a key component of meditation. So we're getting multiple benefits here, not just stretching, but working on breathing, which is the most important thing that we can do physically. Okay, now that position is going to start to show me some tight spots. And now I can actively release them with one of my soft tissue balls, which of course I did not have ready. So, again, the point of the active release on your own is just to stimulate and just get the tissue to open up. So this is just a form of self-massage. I'm going to an intensity about a level 4 out of 10, maybe even less. I want to be able to, again, diaphragmatically breathe the whole time. While I'm down here on the ground, I have another stimulus to be breathing in to my belly, pushing against the ground. And I'm going to find those trigger points, those really dense areas that feel really tender, and I'm just going to relax. And you're going to have a bunch in the beginning. You don't need to do all of them every single time you train. You're just finding the ones that are the biggest priority for the area you're working on. Back of the neck, shoulders, that's all open right now too. After I do that, I'm moving into my next opener, which is going to be overhead standing posture. As I breathe, I'm going to drop my chest further and further down. So I'm inhaling, I'm going to come up a little bit. As I exhale, I'm going to let my chest come all the way down. position like this for a minute, as long as it's not bothering my back, like my low back or any of my joints. I'm trying to actively release the chest, the shoulders, the back, getting more range of motion when I start going overhead. Optional, after you do any position like that, if you feel another trigger point pop up, get through it, do about a minute of work on it, maybe 90 seconds. Just get an appreciable difference. You're not going to completely get it to go away, but we're just trying to work on it and change. 2 positions to open up my hips. Well, I'll start with the first one I listed, 90-90. This is an awesome position. If you have deformed hips like I do, then you might have to elevate in the beginning. Eventually you'll be able to work all the way to the ground. But a yoga block or a cushion is a great way to start any posture that when you're sitting. V-sits. Whatever you're doing when sitting, you might initially have to elevate the hips up a little bit in order to keep the back upright, in order to keep my spine alignment. You don't want to be sitting like this, really struggling to stretch with everything rounding. I want to really try to get into the same posture that I would have if I was standing while I'm sitting in any of my sitting postures. So something underneath the hips like this can be a great tool to do that. 90-90, we're just coming here, and you may have to support the knee, whatever you need to do. Add cushions, pillows. Get it to feel safe so that you can actually start to open it up with the breath. I'd probably breathe here, and I'm not trying to round forward and drop. I'm trying to hinge right here at my hips and bring my whole body forward. Okay, 90 seconds to 2 minutes on each side, just breathing relaxed like that. Move into my hip flexors. They should be a little bit tight since we did some squatting yesterday. I'm here, nice and tall. I'm thinking about right in my hip crease, and I'm driving that forward like I'm thrusting my hips forward. That's gonna lock that hip in place, tightening this glute a little bit. Exhale, breathe out with the breath. Breathe out. Of course you breathe out with the breath, Jesus. Move with it, move as you exhale into it deeper. When you breathe, you might come back out of it just a little bit. 8 to 10 rounds of breathing here, both sides. You're really going to start to get that hip to open up. Again, if you really find an area that just is locked up and is not responding to the posture and the breathing, that's where you can use the ball to address it and do a little bit of range of motion. We're going to move into our strength work. In my instructions, I say you should have a dowel. For the purpose of this, I'll just use an unloaded barbell. I love behind the neck pressing. Everybody I coach does behind the neck pressing at least once or twice a week. And the reason for that, again, is our number one movement issue right now is the amount of sitting that we're doing on a daily basis. So we have to do stuff in order to start to open that chest back up. Most of us are here, we get to what they call the text neck, where my shin starts to come forward and down. It changes this. What's the Jerry Maguire, the little boy, the human head weighs 22 pounds, something like that. I should probably know that, but I don't off the top of my head. But anyways, as that 22 pound or whatever it is head comes forward, the strain on the neck exponentially increases. So when people are getting in these postures from driving, texting, and sitting all day long, we're putting, 40 plus, I think I've even seen an estimate of up to 70 pounds of force through the neck. That's why everyone gets the tight upper back and neck. So I'm trying to learn to get my shoulders down and back. I call it superhero chest. Every superhero has this exact same posture right here. It's not trying to actively squeeze my shoulder blades together like this. That's going to use larger muscles called prime movers that aren't designed for stabilization and posture. It's going to be just an intent of keeping my chest open and shoulders down and back without trying to overdo it, okay? I'm going to cement this position by using my dowel and doing some behind the neck pressing. So I'm right here. Lock out overhead to where my biceps are in line with my ears. I'm going to actively pull it back down, touch the back of my neck, and then overhead. 6 reps should be plenty. From the back, one thing I want to emphasize, if you look at my forearms should be pretty much vertical when I'm about in this position. If I'm too wide like this, I'm going to be loading my wrists and my elbows wrong. Same if I start to get too narrow, my elbows are flared out. But generally speaking, for most people, your grip is going to be about the same on your bench press, your overhead press, and then your behind the neck press. Okay? Now, as I am doing that, I'm learning a really big skill, which is to use the rear of my shoulder. It's called the rear delt, the back part of my shoulder in my press overhead. If I'm in that forward rounded position, we're going to overload the press right here on this anterior delt, the front of the shoulder. And I know that because I did that shit for years, and it's absolutely miserable, and you're going to lose range of motion. You're going to start to hurt this tissue, and you're going to lose the ability to move your arms freely, leading to injury eventually. So this is huge because now I know what it feels like to press with both sides of my shoulder, and I can replicate that when I use my dumbbell. All right? Quad plank is number 2. This is going to get my trunk warmed up, my pelvic floor, my transverse, which is the internal corset we all have. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And I'm just popping up barely above the ground, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Find the hip angle where you take the load out of the quads and place it more into this transverse, right in the middle between your hips and your ribs. So you change the angle, you find that sweet spot, you can hold and just breathe. I'm still trying to breathe diaphragmatically behind that tension. If that's super easy, start working on some movement. Without the knees popping up, because that's me trying to load my quads, keep the knees low. And just start exploring the ability to move forward and backwards with all those trunk muscles, all that core musculature engaged. Overhead pressing. Now we're actually going to start to move into the program for today. The instructions said to get a weight that you can press overhead about 8 times. And we're going to do sets of 5 to 6 of them. Every round I'm going to test a different posture for this. So my first round, I'm going to use my weight and I'm going to test what we call a single leg stance. If this feels wobbly, the wider base I create is going to give me more stability. First round I'm going to test pressing with this arm that is the same as the leg that's out in front, because as I can press, I'm going to have an easier time getting overhead because I can lean into it slightly. Okay, that's going to be my pattern. So I'm here. I'm going to do 5 to 6 reps, and then switch sides. Just like when I was doing my behind the neck press, I want to maintain my spine alignment. I don't want to be rounding my back like this to try to go overhead, which is very, very common for people who are locked up in their shoulders and their chest. The single leg stance gives me opportunity to go from here to nice and tall with ab muscles engaged. Okay? Round number 2, I'm going to do a different version. We're going to do what's called a double, or a, bad time for my brain to stop on Facebook Live. We're going to do a tall kneeling position, and I'm going to use a block or some cushion to go between my knees. And when I'm in this tall kneeling position, I can actively engage my knees against the object between my legs, and I'll feel more tension occur right through the area that I'm trying to aim it at. So this is round 2. You're not going to do this back to back. You're going to finish the circuit first. But here's what round 2 will look like. Tall kneeling. Okay, both arms. Last will be a short kneeling for round 3. You may have to keep your toes, as you're coming in position, try toes up. If that doesn't feel right, try to let those toes get, or the top of the foot get flat and come right down here. Same thing though, I'm going to be crushing this block or cushion between my legs. After I load up, sit back, tight. Okay, round number 4, I'm going to go back to my single leg, but now I'm going to work the arm that's opposite of the lead foot. So now I'm here versus using the left arm as I did in round 1. So I'm not going to be able to bend very much into this one. And between those 4 variations, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the one that feels most integrated, which feels most coordinated, athletic, natural, and strong. Use that one for the last round or 2, and then that's the one we're going to preference moving forward in the next week or so. Now that I'm done with my pressing, exercise number 4, it's going to be a one-legged deadlift. Start, so I told you to have a pressing bell you can do 8 times, and then you're going to have 2 dumbbells, which is a third to a half of this size. When you start this next one, we are going to test the lighter dumbbell first to make sure that you're balanced and coordinated. The easiest version of the one-legged deadlift is going to be that the weight is in my opposite hand as my planted stationary foot. This gets a little trickier, especially when I start trying to change the angle of the load. The biggest problem I see people have with these is that when they come back, everything falls apart. So I should be, make sure I'm on camera here, I should be engaged and tall, and then as I come down to the ground, I want to see my hips remain next to each other. I don't want to see this happen where I roll out, and I also don't want to collapse this way. So, get my hips more in view here. I'm planted, good stationary foot, which will break down further in another session. Letting my hips hinge. My lead leg will look the same as if I was doing a 2-legged deadlift. So if this is my normal deadlift right here, if I was doing a 2-legged deadlift, my lead leg when I do my 1-legged deadlift is going to look roughly at the same angles. Okay, hips in line, hips remain stacked the whole time, not losing it either way, coming down to the range of motion I can control. This leg can come up if you want. If you're beginning this and you feel really uncomfortable and this feels really unnatural, then a good strategy is to keep the non-working leg, the one that's sliding back, keep it in contact with the ground like this. And this extra connection to the ground is going to help you balance better. And over time, you will learn to segue into the full one here and do all of the other variations. I'm not trying to smoke myself with this, so I can alternate every single rep. 3 reps on each leg today. It's going to be a little taxing to the bind, so we're going to learn that. Last of my circuit, this is a 5 exercise circuit. I'm going to come into my hip thrust using my pressing weight. Pattern it first with no weight. The goal of the hip thrust is to drive my hips as lockabout as high as I'm capable of. So I'm here, and I'm just creating that bridge. Do a couple unloaded, and then also take your block or your cushion again, and do that same technique of crushing it with your knees, and see if it feels tighter. Because again, my goal here is to use, my glutes are going to be super tight, my abs are braced for punches, and I'm learning the basics of the hip hinge. If you got all that, this directly translates into kettlebell swings and deadlifts as we move up the movement ladder of difficulty and complexity. So I really want to make sure that my hip hinge is really dialed in, and the foundation, that's going to be that bridge. You're going to repeat that sequence of 5 exercises up to 6 rounds. My directions say that you're going to stop before you start to feel overall fatigue. I want you to leave the session feeling energized. We don't want to be sore. We don't want to be dragging. And this is not a ton of work, I know, but for people who are starting out, this is going to be just enough. And 6 rounds might be too much at the beginning. For conditioning, we're going to do what's called a Dumbbell press. For men, named Dragron, I'm going to butcher his last name. Radovich, something like that. These were introduced to me by another coach out of Europe who was doing a challenge where they were trying to do this every single day. Very good form of cardio, and it's upper body based. So obviously most of our, what we would call quote unquote cardio work is coming from legs and movement, like gait, like running, jogging, walking, or bicycling. This is going to elevate my heart rate just using my arms. So it's a nice variation to throw in, especially after a shoulder day. And there's going to be a little more bend to this one. Some people call this a vertical lift if you go on YouTube. I have a video on there of Dragron pressing some heavier weights for 150 reps total. But I'm just gonna go, I'm aiming to do at least 100 reps, but I'm not using hard style kettlebell feet floor retention. I'm letting my body kind of flow into it. My hips want to move a little bit, that's fine. When I bring the weight up, I'm not using those techniques we were talking about yesterday in the push-ups. I'm not trying to death grip the bar for extra tension. I'm trying to go for endurance, so I'm actually trying to do as little as possible. Now your light weights may feel super light, but trust me, around rep 60 to 70, the arms are going to start to get smoked a little bit. Okay? Aim to do 50 reps on each arm. If that's too easy, and go more, keep going. Should take about 5 to 7 minutes. If I find that completing 50 reps on both arms is too much right now, then just decrease it based on what you're capable of. You want every rep to be clean. You don't want to start to feel any sort of tension or pain in your shoulders or your elbows. Always be mindful of your joints. If it doesn't feel right in the joint, you're not strengthening anymore. You're breaking the body down unnecessarily. You're injuring yourself. That's what I got today. Please post questions, comments. Join the group that I have. I'm going to be going through some different forms of training in there, not all physical. We're going to talk about nutrition during this time right now. And I have a special announcement about that coming up soon. But it's with nutrition, now's not the time to worry about a six-pack. I'm not trying to get shredded. I am going to lose some body fat. I got a lot to lose right now from a little midlife crisis last year, so we're going to address that. You will get leaner while you're getting stronger, while you're moving better, but we're not doing serious calorie deficits right now. We're focused on boosting our health and our strength and getting our body the resources it needs to deal with all the stress right now. All right? Hope everyone makes a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.